Prepared the last training video, we've decided to change a couple of things. Just real quick, I want to explain. So instead of using scorebooks, we found these score sheets that we're going to use that follows the college men's basketball scorekeeping, which is already in halves, which will help us for summer games because that's how we do things. So this will eliminate another step too. We're going to use these as the roster sheets, and since it's way easier, like we can just put these on a clipboard and coaches can fill these out. So it will eliminate an extra step of you having to transfer things or seeing if the formatting is right for the book that you're using. Because when we were looking at our books, they were enough different, it was really hard to format them. So they should fill out the team for you and then the numbers and the names of their players. So that should be done before the game. So the only thing that we're going to really have to worry about, so like let's just say that this is done and say we are doing Cedar JV. So that was in, and let's say they've already put in their names and numbers. So the biggest key is, so because of the way this sheet is and it being 2x2, the sheets print a little bit different. So like on this side, it happens to say site and date, where on this one, it says like attendance and starting time. Regardless of what it says, there's a couple of things I want you to do. I want you to put the location, and it doesn't really matter what box, but let's just say we're going to put it here. So say it's happening at Cedar High Ox Gym, then we're going to write that there, and then we want you to make sure and put this time of the game. So that way, if we have a question about a score, we're able to find from which gym and at what time, and we can make sure that those games are put together. So that's going to be quick and easy. So the other part that I want to make sure that you do is like put the jersey color. So if Cedar happens to be playing and they're red, I'm going to write up here red. Okay, and then maybe I thought that they were going to sit on my right side, but they weren't. The nice part about these sheets too is you wouldn't have to redo the book. Like you can just flip them. And so it makes it nice and easy that way. Okay, so those are the only things that you should really have to make sure and write down in the book before the game begins. And timeout stuff. So timeouts are listed here, and I'd love for you to get as detailed as you want in that section. But one thing that has really helped me over the years is we're only giving 2 timeouts per half, and they don't carry over, and they're both fulls. So I would write like 2 Fs for full, and then I put a little divider saying, okay, that's first half, this is second half. So it's really easy when an official or a coach says, hey, how many timeouts do I have? I'm not trying to search over my whole sheet. I just know it's going to be in the section, and I'll be like, you have 2 timeouts left this half. Now say they have used one, and then I'm going to cross it off, and I'm going to write down the time that it happened, like 11:58. And so you'll say, hey, coach, you have one timeout, and they'll be like, I haven't used a timeout, and you can easily say, yep, you did. I called one at 11:58. But this is just a really quick, easy reference for timeouts. So that's really easy. I'm just going to point out a few of the differences, and so you kind of know where to look for when you're recording stuff. So one of the biggest differences is the fouls are over here. And again, I just want to reiterate how important it is that you mark something different from the first half to the second half. So I like to shade for the first half, and I like to X for the second half, right? So that way anything that I find shaded, I can easily come and count when I'm doing my team fouls and make sure that I can verify, okay, really easily, I can visually see that there's 3. All right, and then for team fouls, oh, there is a little slot listed under here for you to be able to write down the time that the foul happens. Obviously, we play with a running clock, so it's not exact, but it's a good idea to just kind of have a rough time, you know, like 13:24, and obviously that clock's going to be winding down. So if you have a rough time, that's great. Just there again, if there's any question, you have a time of when fouls happened, or say you mark it differently from first half and second half, that time can help you kind of verify this as well. If you have time, great. If not, this is the big thing that we want to focus on. Then down here is where you list your team fouls, and these boxes are written so that you can write the number of the person that fouled. So I'm just going to show you kind of one that I'd already filled out really quick, just since it's already done. I like that it has this line here again. It shows then the difference when our bonus is happening, and it's a good visual. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but this is shaded a different color also, which is just as helpful to remind you that, hey, when you get to this part, then we're going to be in bonus and shooting free throws. So say the first team foul happened on number 5, then say number 12, number 1, number 3, number 5, right? Okay. Remember that if not all of the team fouls are used for that half, I want you to put X's in there just so that way you don't get confused when the second half comes and start writing team fouls in here when it happens to be a second half foul. That will be really easy for you. Okay. And so that's one of the big differences, is the fouls are listed over here. Then I want you to notice that the running score is down here, and it gives you options for lots of details. And I'm not expecting you guys to be perfect with this, but it will be a way of actually really helping if you're struggling to get a lot accomplished. So again, I'm just gonna show you one that I kind of started to fill out. Like you're gonna slash, hey, number 2, or like a 2-point basket was scored. The spot down here is listed for you to write the number of the person that scored it. And that's, I mean, you obviously are trying to keep a track of it here too, but if you only get it here, that's fine. At least this book gives us the opportunity to double check that way. And again, if you were to just keep it on one person, it's not the end of the world. But we want you to then make sure at the end of the half, you shade what the score is. So say they got 20 points, then I'm going to write up here in the first half they had 20 points. And I remember I'm going to do my little squiggly right here, and then I'm just going to total at halftime while the clock is going what happens and make sure that it matches. So I'd say, okay, this person has 2 points, this person has 2 points. I'm going to add another one here just for it to be different. Okay, this one has 4, this one has 3, this one has 2, and this one has 2. Now I just made up a number here, but what I'd want to do is, okay, 2, 4, 8, 11, 13, 15. And I'd want to make sure that this number, and I'd say, okay, that's 15 points matched to this one. Obviously it doesn't because I just made it up, and so I didn't calculate beforehand, but that's a way to check. And so you'll have 3 spots where it's listed. And then when you start the second half, then you're going to make sure and do it on this side. And again, then start marking your team fouls with something different and in this other spot. And then at the end of the game, if you'll shade the final score all the way in, that will just help you verify too. You can add things up and you put that final score up here so that when you go to report the score, it's really easy for you to see, okay, the final score was 70 to 65 or whatever it may be. The other biggest difference is when I was talking to you about jump balls. Okay, it has a spot down here, and this might not be enough space for you. You can continue writing up top, on the side, wherever is better for you if you end up needing more. But if I start writing, sorry, and I was using a different example before, so we're just going to trade this really quick. So say my colors are red and white. So I would just say like W, R, W, R, W, R right here. So we know white, red, and I left the first one blank in case on the tip that red got it and not white. And it doesn't matter which one you start with as long as you give some space. So if white got the tip, then I'd just write in this like at 1H, meaning they got it in the first half, and I'd cross that out. So then the next time a jump ball happens, I know it's going to go to red. If red were to get it, then that's where I'd write it in this box, red, and I'd write first half here and cross it out and be waiting then for the next jump ball to happen. This is for you to write down the time that the jump ball happens. And this is really important too in case you forget to flip the arrow or something that's on the table. So I just say, okay, this happened at 10:12. Great. And then I know that the next jump ball is then going to go to red. Okay, so I really like the way that this book does. It gives you space to actually write the details that are important. So those are the main differences, and hopefully this will, one, be then consistent through each gym and make it easier so that we're not having to transfer a lot of information back and forth, and be ready to go. Don't worry about totaling anything up that way. We don't care about any of that. Mainly, we want, for our score reporting, the final scores. Thanks. The last thing I wanted to talk about really fast was this little spot right here where it talks about technicals and notes. I want you to take any notes. If there happened to be a technical foul, I want you to write down the time that it happened and any information about that technical that you know of, like number 4 swore at the referee, or the coach got out of line and got mad, or oh, they called a timeout and they didn't have one. Just those kinds of things, because as the coordinator, I want to be able to call the scorekeeper and say, hey, what happened? I heard there was a technical in your gym, and maybe you don't remember all of the details. This will help you to do it. Sometimes too, if there's like a delay of game or any other kind of warning, the referee may say, hey, make note in the book, and you're like, where am I supposed to do that? Put it in this little box. And any place that you can have on the sheet is fine if you run out of space to put any extra notes, but this is provided for you to take little notes on any extras like that. The last thing I wanted to talk about really fast was this little spot right here where it talks about technicals and notes. I want you to take any notes. If there happened to be a technical foul, I want you to write down the time that it happened and any information about that technical that you know of, like number 4 swore at the referee, or the coach got out of line and got mad, or oh, they called a timeout and they didn't have one. Just those kinds of things, because as the coordinator, I want to be able to call the scorekeeper and say, hey, what happened? I heard there was a technical in your gym, and maybe you don't remember all of the details. This will help you to do it. Sometimes too, if there's like a delay of game or any other kind of warning, the referee may say, hey, make note in the book, and you're like, where am I supposed to do that? Put it in this little box. And any place that you can have on the sheet is fine if you run out of space to put any extra notes, but this is provided for you to take little notes on any extras like that.